All right. So you're not in the top tier. You're not in the top middle tier. You're in the third tier. The bottom middle tier, if you think about it. Don't be a half empty glass type person. All right? I want you to really be a half full type of person. Think of it like this. Does your team kind of suck? Yes. But is there a little bit of good in it? Yeah. And are you better than get some? Probably. Anyhow, let's get into it. This is Tier 3, and there's 3 teams in it. Yeah. Oh, I lost my mouse. See, that really screws things up because then I can't remember the team. Anyhow, team number 6. And the first team in this, I make enough money to get by, but I can't send my kids to college type, class here of fantasy football, is Team Dirschfall. It was nice to actually see in the draft a little bit, Brad. I know you had to leave a little bit early, but it was good. I think you definitely have to start getting some young talent. We have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. Of course, he's amazing. Last year, he was number 7 without his number 1 receiver, and he looked horrible. He'll be back in the top 5 this year. Even has the potential of being number 1. He opens up against Jacksonville. We'll see what he does with his wide receiver back. Probably pretty well. Matt Forte for the Jets. He was top 10 last year. He'll be top 15 this year. He's definitely not as strong as he was back in his heyday when you first liked him back with the Bears. Trade bait, maybe. D'Angelo Williams, Pittsburgh. He's going to be good for the first 4 weeks. We'll see how much he keeps carries. It's going to go down a lot after the first 4 weeks. You might want to look into getting somebody else. However, you do have Thomas Rawls on the bench. Some people are high, some people are low on him. I'm actually pretty high on him. When he was starting the first 5 weeks last year, or not the first 5 weeks, 5 weeks in the middle of the year, when Beast Mode was out, he was second in points to only one person. That was Devontae Freeman when Freeman was going through that crazy pace. Even though he wasn't a starter, he was a clear backup to Marshawn Lynch, deservedly so. He was still the number 22 running back last year. That's pretty huge. If he shows that kind of talent and he's the red zone back, he's a big boy just like Marshawn. He's going to be well worth your pick. Your flex spot, Randall Cobb. Really love him in the flex. I think it's definitely one of the best flexes that anybody has in the league with Randall Cobb out of Green Bay. And you're definitely going to get that double-double with Aaron Rodgers to Randall Cobb. You got to love that. You're going a little bit old for your receiver, number 1 at Larry Fitzgerald. He'll still get it done. He was outside the top 10 last year at 11. He's still going to keep falling as the young guys like John Brown and them are going to keep getting better and better and better. Larry's going to see a lot less touches. Still keep him in the top 20, but I'm thinking more towards the lower teens. Doug Baldwin out of Seattle. He was top 10 receiver last year. They're going to be throwing more. He's definitely the red zone back or the red zone threat. Receiving wise in Seattle. Plus, when Russell scrambles a lot, he always looks for him. So I definitely like him as your receiver number 2. You have Gary Barnidge as your tight end. Like him, I think he's solid. He's not going to be great, but I think he's going to be top 10, which is starter caliber. Your bench, I think, is actually pretty solid. Emmanuel Sanders, what a great value with Sanders. He's easily one of the better receivers in the league. He had a down year last year because we all know how bad Peyton was and the problems with quarterback there. The problem is the quarterback problem is still existing. However, he was still top 20 last year. With his talent, he still might be top 20 this year, which makes him a great flex option and play when Fitzgerald or Cobb play a really strong defensive team, pass defensive team. Victor Cruz is a flyer. I like the pick. We'll see how he does. I hope he does a lot better, or I hope he gets better and gets healthy after his boy cruises. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Cliff? Anyhow, strong team. I think you have about like a 40% chance of making the playoffs if some things fall right. However, I think you're actually a pretty decent team and solid up and down your lineup. So, anyhow, not that horrible or scathing of a review for you. Not bad. I think it's because you actually, picked this year. I don't know. Better than auto draft. Taking Robbie's money is next up on the docket. Yeah. That means I'm scheduling you ahead of 3 other teams. Not a lot above, okay? So let's not get crazy. Jump right into your finish 10th and then 9th in the previous 2 seasons, even though you took over the championship team in your first year and you went from worst to first. I don't want to keep talking about it and belabor the point. Anyhow, quarterback Carson Palmer, love him. You got to hope that his knee holds up. And you got Marcus Mariota as your backup quarterback. I think you can do better than that. You're gonna have to find somebody other than Marcus Mariota, someone who finished out of top 20 in quarterbacks last year, top 20. I don't think he's gonna climb anywhere soon. I would definitely be looking at the free agency to pick up a better quarterback to back up Mr. Oldney. Jonathan Stewart, Duke Johnson Jr. are your 2 running backs. Duke Johnson Jr. is definitely a share back. You're hoping for touchdowns, and you're just hoping for touchdowns. Jonathan Stewart from Carolina, solid pick. However, the best runner on that team, it was and still is Cam Newton. And Cam Newton on the 1-yard line, guess who's getting the ball? It's not Jonathan Stewart, it's Cam Newton. You might get a lot of yardage, but you're not going to get that many touchdowns, and that's going to really hurt you, especially for your number 1 running back. You went all white for your receivers with Edelman and Nelson. Nelson was a great pickup for you. It was a great pick. We'll see how he does coming back from the injury, but Rodgers will be looking for him right off the bat. He's a very underrated receiver, great receiver. That's a great pick. And then Julian Edelman. I actually think it hurts that they got Martellus Bennett, but Edelman is still going to get his catches, but he's going to get hurt a lot by not having Brady. That offense and the connection between Brady and Edelman was based on precision and timing. That doesn't really happen with a brand new quarterback like that who's going to be there only for 4 weeks. Edelman's going to take a big hit in the beginning. Alshon Jeffrey for receivers, for your last receiver. He's a burner, but he's inconsistent. I don't like inconsistency, so I'm not big on him. I get that you're a Chicago fan, but you kind of went a little Chicago heavy here, and you went to Zach Miller. I don't really have anything to say about it. You have a weak defense a weak bench, and that's one of the main reasons that you're at the bottom of the list, and you didn't get into the top tier or the bottom tier, but. You got Rasheed Johnson, Derrick Henry, Jordan Matthews. You're taking a guess, hoping that they might have a good week, the 1 week or 2 weeks that they have to be in. And if they have to fill in on a longer period of time, you're shit out of luck because Derrick Henry's not getting in the end zone every week. Rashad Jennings not getting in the end zone every week. And if they don't get in the end zone, they're not getting a lot of yards for you. So the best I think you're going to hope for one of these guys is 13 points. The worst can be 0 or 1 or 2 points, and that can kill a whole week. But either way, you made it into the bottom middle class. Congratulations. I think it's better than you thought. Hell, it's better than I thought you were going to be. And the last, bringing up the rear of the bottom middle class, the lower middle class, is Dick Pick 6. I think you did it to yourself, man. You had some of the best keepers in the league. Not the best keepers in the league, but you had some of the best keepers in the league. You could have Devontae Freeman, who was the number 1 running back last year. You could have had Robinson, who was a top 5 receiver last year. You could have had Duke or DJ Derek Johnson out of Arizona, who was the number 6 running back last year. You kept Freeman, of course you did. You got young DJ, who's young as hell. He's like 26 years old, and in a keeper league. There is no reason for any other thing like that. You just don't pick anybody else over him other than Freeman. You kept Lacy, that's fine. You could have kept him and Lacy. You didn't like Robinson, you'd rather running backs. You would have had 3 solid starters. But you took the 3rd best running back on your team, dropped the number 6 overall rated running back, or not running back, overall player in fantasy, and dropped Robinson. Hurts you. I mean, you should have been top tier. You got 2nd place because of these guys last year. I think you made the comment in the comment section, like during the draft, what did I place last year? You placed 2nd. You placed 2nd because of those 3 guys. You didn't place 2nd because I finished 25th running back overall and only averaged 7 points a week, Eddie Lacy. You didn't finish 2nd because number 20th ranked receiver, Amari Cooper. I get it. I love Amari Cooper too. You could have picked up Amari Cooper in the draft. After the first 3 rounds, you're not getting Robinson unless if you had the top 1 or 2 picks. Either way, you made the decision. I think you're going to really regret it. You still have Freeman, which is great. He's not going to be the number 1 running back. I don't think he's going to be in the top 5 running back. I think he's going to be hovering around that number 6 or 7 spot. Not bad. I just don't think he's going to have that breakout year because he's already broken out. I don't think he's going to have as good as that breakout year. Andrew Luck, he's going to definitely come back. He was obviously, the ranking from last year doesn't matter that much, but with that offensive line, he's still going to have problems, and that means injuries could still go. It was smart of you to get a backup quarterback like Stafford who can definitely sling the ball. Eddie Lacy, he looks better this year. He can fall out of favor with that coach really quick, and we know how Green Bay does. If Starks comes in for a series and they march on the field and Starks did great, they'll sit Lacy for the rest of the game and go with the hot hand. That's not what I want from my keeper or my number 2 back. Eric Decker for the Jets, I think he's a solid flex. He had a great year last year, averaging over 10 points a game. Great flex play. Amari Cooper, like I said, love him. I think that offense is going to always getting better. He'll be in the top 20 of receivers this year. He might be fighting for 10. I don't think it's likely, only because of how bad that defense is. I know, what does defense have to do with Amari Cooper? If anything, it will help. It will hurt a little bit because they sit back for pass and they can double cover Cooper, and Michael Crabtree doesn't really ever dictate a double team. And then Demaryius Thomas. Yeah, Demaryius Thomas, I think, is one of the best receivers. We don't know. I don't know what to tell you about the Denver receivers. Way down on them. I can't trust Trevor Siemian. I really can't. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns in college last year. He was in the 7th round quarterback, and he started in the first year. I just can't trust it. Your bench, though, this is what saved you and made you not in the bottom tier to me. Jeremy Hill, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Ivory, Torrey Smith, Julius Thomas, Stafford, and Theo Riddick. I think you're a really solid bench. Julius Thomas can go in and out with Jordan Reed when Reed is up against a really tough matchup, or he's struggling or gets hurt. Torrey Smith, he can give you some points. And I think if Kaepernick with his big arm starts later on the season, which I think he might, I think he's going to really be able to come on for you. Deshaun Jackson, that offense is honestly good. I mean, Kirk Cousins, if he's as good as he was last year, Deshaun Jackson can have a big year. And Jeremy Hill, he's not ideal in that Cincinnati offense and with those run defenses in that league. But again, he's your bench player. I think he can get you some points in some spots. That pretty much sums up this tier, though. You guys have some strong plays, some mediocres, but there's definitely reasons why you're not in one of the top 2. Anyway, good luck. Hope I'm wrong.